Welcome to Pivot Parenting, where we help parents of teens overcome regret and disappointment to find peace and connection in every situation. I'm Heather Frazier, your parenting expert. Journey with me to discover effective parenting tips, improve family relationships, and build a brighter future for your kids. Buckle up, things are about to get better. Hey, Jason, welcome to Pivot Parenting.
Thank you, Heather. I've been looking forward to being on your show. Appreciate it.
I'm so excited. When we met and spoke, I could feel your passion and purpose, and you're really easy to talk to and really informational. And so, for our listeners, we've got Jason Reid on the podcast today, and I'm going to let him introduce himself. It's very exciting.
Well, thanks, Heather. I'm Jason Reid, and I'm here today because if you go back to March of 2018, I unfortunately lost my son who had just turned 14 to suicide. And that was a life changing event, of course, and one that will just, well, it's always there, right? It was and still is the toughest, worst thing imaginable. I think when those kind of things happen, though, you have choices, right? You can dive into a bottle, you can get divorced, you can never get back up on your feet, or you can try to make the best of the world you live in. And I've chosen to try and make the best of the world I live in. 85% of people get divorced. We're not divorced. We're still together, and we've been together for 33 years. I have 3 other kids. They're all married or adulting, I guess what we call it. And I have a very good life outside of my loss of Ryan. And I don't want to make today talking about suicide. So if you're going, wow, I'm not sure I want to hear about suicide, I don't blame you. The reality is that, well, we may know people who have passed away from suicide or have family or friends. It touching your life directly probably isn't going to happen. And I hope it doesn't. But there is something else that's going on that does affect your life probably with a greater chance. And that's the fact that 40% of kids, depending on where you want to get your stats from, experience some kind of major depression or anxiety issues just last year. And it's a whole different world than when I grew up in. So I started an organization called Tell My Story. And if you go to tellmystory.org, you can see a couple of TEDx talks I did, a Goalcast I did. There's a movie called What I Tell My Story. And that actually came from the fact that after Ryan passed, I was going through his room and I found a note in his drawer that said, here are my username and passwords, and tell my story.
Wow. I'm sorry.
Sorry. I don't think I've ever gotten through telling this about it. Crying for a moment.
I think it would be strange if you did. I think crying is cathartic and perfectly understandable, if not
Yeah.
expected.
Yeah. So, so I have spent the last bunch of years trying to make sense of this, trying to help parents understand what's going on, helping them understand that they need to own their kids' mental health the way they own their kids' physical health. And the way I describe that, Heather, you probably understand this because you coach parents all the time, is when your child walks into a room on Monday morning and says, I have a stomach ache, the first thing that goes through your mind is you're lying. You don't want to go to school. And then you go, okay, well, where does it hurt? How does it hurt? And wait, you have a fever. Okay, let's go. We go into full on parenting mode. When our son or daughter walks in and says, I just broke up with my boyfriend or my girlfriend, and I don't think my life is worth living, we go into, oh my gosh, you're the most beautiful person in the world, and they don't know what they're missing. And we go into just protection, but that's not what they need or want. And we do it out of the need to try and fix things, but that's not always the most helpful way to fix our kids.
Okay, I want to take this podcast episode in two different portions.
Okay.
The first portion, I want to talk about how we can better, what you were just leading into, how we can better communicate and understand and connect with our kids so that hopefully we can mitigate harm.
Mhm.
And then the second portion, I want to potentially cover how we can comfort, connect when harm has occurred. I know just it seems like about every year there is a child at one of my kids' schools who was successful. And so teaching them, if not also us as adults, how to be empathetic, compassionate, the things not to say,
Mhm.
because this is a really uncomfortable situation, whether we are worried that our kid is having maybe some suicidal thoughts or or they know somebody that is.
Mhm.
How do you feel about that? Does that sound like a good
Yeah,
plan?
we absolutely. And for those of you who are going, well, I think my kids are fine. I hope they
Maybe.
are. But this also, everything we're talking about today isn't just about kids. It's about anybody in your life who's experiencing these issues. So please stay with us because
Yep.
you're going to run into someone in your life who is seriously depressed or anxious, and you're going to need to know what to do. And not, by the way, I am not a psychologist. I'm not a trained therapist. I have just spent a bunch of years learning from all of them.
Yeah.
And so I have points that you can take and learn from, hopefully, and or don't use them. But I'm here to share what I've learned. Maybe we can start with the part that always is interesting, right? I'm 58 years old, and when I grew up, we didn't talk about depression. We didn't talk about anxiety. We didn't.
No.
It wasn't something no one ever talked about. It was like just get out there and do your thing.
Yes.
And my parents never once mentioned mental health, and I guess I didn't either because I didn't think I had to be honest. I do now, but why is that? And I think it's important to understand the differences in the way our kids are growing up now versus when I grew up. I like to describe it this way: when I was 14 and the phone rang, it was on the wall.
Yeah. With a cord that hopefully you could pull into the bathroom so your mom wouldn't hear.
But it didn't usually work that way. So my dad would
Yeah.
usually answer the phone and stand there, and they go, "I'll talk to you at school tomorrow."
Yep. Mhm.
Versus this that I
Yeah.
have, right?
Constant communication.
And constant access to information.
Yeah.
Like I didn't watch the news when I was 14.
No.
I'm I, it was on at 6. It was on. I don't know. My dad would watch it. He'd read the paper. I had no clue what was going on in the world.
Yeah.
I didn't care. I cared about going to school, staying away from my bullies, hanging out with my friends, and that's it, right? And that was enough. I always said that was enough to try and evade my bullies and figure out what my friends were going to do on the weekend. Like that was enough for my little brain, and trying to get my homework done, which I was terrible at. These days, your kids, whether it be 14, 12, 11, 10, 9, they know about the war in the Ukraine with Ukraine and Russia. They know about the Middle East. They worry about China. They worry about, and if that's not going to get them, they're going, why does it matter? Because in 10 years, global warming is going to take us all out.
Sure.
They have their little brains are dealing with a lot more issues than we ever did.
Yeah.
And then you get, then the fact that they're bullies, mine were at school, they stayed at school, theirs come home with them because everybody with a keyboard can be a bully. Mine were bigger kids than me. Bullies come in all sizes now.
Yeah.
And to add the final point to this, the pressure to perform is at an all-time high. I always joke around with my business partners because they all went to UCSB in California and Santa Barbara. Just a wonderful place to go to school. But when they went, they got in with like a 3.1 GPA, right? And you can't get into that school without like a 4 or 5 or whatever the heck it is
Yeah.
these days. And the cost of it, holy cow, right? $100,000 a year to go to schools these days on the higher end to get a degree that who knows if it's going to be worthwhile to anybody. So kids put themselves through so much pressure to get a scholarship, to get good grades, the stuff that we never thought about in the same way. So the pressure on them, when you put it in that kind of bucket, it's no wonder their anxiety and depression levels get so high because their brain's the same 14-year-old brain I had.
Yeah. So how can we support them in all of this besides just taking away their phone and moving to the rural hills of Georgia? What can we do?
Well, and that has its downsides too, right? So, here's what I like to tell people. You first have to understand depression and anxiety. And if you've never been depressed or anxious, I like to describe to people this way. I live in Southern California. For the most part, I look outside, there's not a cloud in the sky.
Hmm.
Sorry to everybody who doesn't live in California, but that's kind of how it is here. And we pay the price to live here. But yeah,
But
different thing.
it's lovely.
But it's lovely. But if I was looking at the sky, and there's not a cloud in the sky, and say Ryan was with me, he may only see clouds in the same sky I'm looking at. And there's nothing I can say or do to change his mind. Ryan, there's no cloud. What are you talking about? There's not a cloud in the sky, buddy. How can you look at the world that way? He's not going to see that. All he's going to do is shut down and go, I can't talk to my dad.
Yeah. So convincing or trying to fix, not it.
Yeah. So all you can do is ask them about their clouds and get them to talk about them. Tell me about your clouds. What do they look like? How do they make you feel? How often are they there? Are they all the same? Are there good clouds and bad clouds? And understand that you can't apply logic to this situation. And I know I'm a guy who likes to fix things, right? I own multiple businesses across the country. I coach CEOs. My phone rings from 5 o'clock in the morning until 6 o'clock at night with people needing answers and needing help. And I hopefully fix a lot of their problems. No one calls me with, hey, let me tell you the greatest thing that just happened. That's not how my world works. They only call me with bad stuff. But
Sweet.
and when we apply that, when we're out there working in the world, that's how most of our lives are, right? Especially if you're relatively successful in whatever job you're at, people are coming to you for answers. Your
Yeah.
kids are not coming to you for answers. People who are depressed and anxious are not coming to you for answers. They just need you to listen to them.
They need a soft space to land.
Mm-hmm. And you know this absolutely. This is the world you live in. Feeded
Yeah.
by your parents on a regular basis.
Yeah. Not only that, but our family has also dealt with anxiety, depression, OCD, suicidal ideation, all of those things. So, yes, I get it professionally and personally. And if you're paying attention to how your child receives what you say, you can dial in, if you know your kid, to what is helpful and what is not as helpful.
I
Get in their face.
and you got to know your kids, right?
Yeah.
I always say, another thing is, when I look back at my life, my oldest son Derek, when he was 18, he dropped out of school in December. We put him in a different school from January to March. He dropped out of that school in March. And I looked at him and said, Derek, you're 18. You're on your own. I'm not paying anything anymore. And go find a job and figure out a place to live, which was the right thing for Derek.
Yep.
My daughter, who is now 25 and married, would never do that to her. Not because she's a girl, but because she's not wired that way.
Yeah.
She would not be able to go figure out how to go live and get a job and figure her life out. She just can't do it, right? And so you can't treat them all the same way, and everybody innately kind of knows that. But sometimes when we're busy, and sometimes when we've got all our own stuff going on, which is not fair, right? We're just going, gosh, can you just go figure your crap out? I don't have time for this.
Yeah. Yeah. With one of our kids who is now a junior in college, they took a gap year. And this is a smart kid. He interviewed with Harvard,
Okay.
right? Like smart. But because high school was so difficult, because he doesn't like playing games, he outsmarted all of his teachers. The financial literacy, he learned the hacks and the market and like all the different things. He could just kind of outsmart everyone. But we didn't push him to conform. So he took a gap year and my husband and I are like, he's just living his best life. He's going for bike rides and rock climbing and, doing his online business, and then the market crashed and he lost six figures and tried to
Oh.
figure it out and all the things. But later on, he's like, "Oh, I've applied to college." And my husband were like, "Oh, phew." You finally decided college might be a good idea. But he thanked us for letting him be him
Mhm.
because he is anxious, because he has struggled with mental health issues. And instead of trying to get him to conform so that we thought his future would be safe, we let him be the driver. And we tried to listen, like what you're saying, to who they innately are and what they individually need. Even though everybody around us was probably like, your kid should be doing something with his life, and he's not. But we knew that that's what he needed because he's not wired the same as other kids. And it's a beautiful thing when you can get over social expectation.
Well, and it's hard, right? Because you expect your kids to want to be a certain way. And I should add that Derek's gone on to be very successful. He's actually a partner in one of my businesses, and he's married with a baby with my granddaughter, and his life is fantastic, right?
Yeah,
And my Kyle, who's now 23, is he's taking his time. He's got his online business, maybe similar to your son. He's in marketing, but he's gone back to school now. He lives in Portland. He's a socialist, which is I think what kids do these days who have successful dads. They become a socialist, and then
sure.
it's fine. We have great conversations about it all. But I think knowing that all your kids are different and you just have to connect with them. But if we go down to, like, we're talking about adult kids, you get down to that how do you talk to the 12, 13, 14, 15 year old?
Yeah, give us some tips.
Now, the tips I like to give people is to say, okay, the last thing, first of all, don't do this, right? Don't go, I listen to this podcast, you rush into the kid's room tonight and go, we need to talk. Don't,
Yeah.
please don't.
No ants in your pants.
Yeah, there's just like, I get the fact that you're a room, you pay for the house, you pay for everything, and you should have access to anything you want, but that's the only little space they have. That's the
Yeah,
only protected space they really have, right? And they don't want to see people in there all the time. Nor did you when you were growing up. You just forgot about that.
sure.
Right? Not you personally, but everybody in the
Yeah,
audience.
yeah.
So you have to find a time to talk to them. And what we've done at Tell My Story is we created some different things for you to help you. But let's give you a framework first.
Okay.
What you don't want to do is stare them in the eyes and hope they're going
Yeah,
to
no.
talk to you. And for those of you going, well, why not? That's what we do as adults. Like if you and I are sitting here, Heather, it's difficult on Zoom, but we'd be looking each other eyes, which basically says, I hear you, you hear me, and we're paying attention to each other.
Yeah.
But it's intimidating as hell for kids. It's scary.
Yeah. Baby steps.
They don't want to look you in the eyes.
Especially if it's a vulnerable topic. No,
Yeah.
if it's where
I
they
love
want to
you.
grab
Yeah.
where they grab dinner, they'll look you in the eyes.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But if they're going to talk about something uncomfortable, they are not going to do it. Like think about, I grew up Catholic. So when you go to, I'm not Catholic anymore, but I grew up Catholic. But when I
Sure.
went to confession, if you guys have not Catholic or you've seen it in the movies, you've got this big box and you're over here and the priest is
Yeah,
over
the
here.
booth.
And you look, they can't see you. You're going, he doesn't know who I am. He knows exactly who you are, but sure. Right.
Sure.
But that makes you feel comfortable sharing
Uh-huh.
the things you've done that aren't great.
Yeah.
So how do you talk to your kids? Well, you find a time when you're not looking them in the eyes and it's natural. Like you ever notice that they're a little more open when you're driving?
Yes, I was gonna say driving in a car is usually ideal.
And why is that?
Well, they can't run away.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're not looking at each other. And it's even better if it's dark out.
Yeah, good, a
Like
great
being in a
point. I hadn't thought
dark
about that.
room is helpful to share the scariest things of your heart.
I hadn't thought of it. I'm going to add the dark room, the driving in the dark part. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I always say, look at, they know you're not going to look at them because you can't. They say something, you go, what? And they know you can't look at them for long.
Yeah.
They know because you got to drive.
Yep.
So we created a couple albums with BMG Music called Songs for the Drive Home, and they're on the website. And the first album is designed with songs about mental health, and the first side A is for younger kids, side B is for older kids. But they're kind of Jack Johnson kind of style songs where you can play them and they will in some ways, there's conversation that can elicit from the song about,
That's awesome.
and so that's a way to get your kids to start talking. The second album is more for adults and more for you because mental health is all of us, right?
Yes.
We also have a card game here that we created called the Tell My Story card deck, which is a really simple card game. It has little questions that spark a conversation. What are you most proud of yourself? What do you love about yourself? What's something that you wish I had noticed that I didn't notice? This was not designed by me. This was designed by my team and a bunch of people from Youth Era, which is one of the largest drop-in centers in the country up in Oregon. And so these were all designed to help spark conversations. Kids love these decks. Parents love them. I remember when they first came out, one of my partners in my production company, his mother called me and said, I just had the best conversation ever with my 52-year-old son. So
That's
it's
amazing.
not just for little kids, but we're
If
trying
it's
to,
the right question, most people like talking about themselves. You just have to ask the right question.
yeah. And that's really what it comes down to is that not lecturing, but asking questions and listening and not being judgmental. You've got to, I'm not saying never discipline your kids, but in these conversations, the stuff that comes out in these conversations, if you start going, oh, you just told me about something you should never have done, and now I'm
Yep.
going to punish you for it, good luck getting them to talk to you again.
Yeah. It's funny. This is what I was coaching one of my clients this morning on, is
Oh,
she
yeah.
found out her child had gone to a party and lied about it, and that child was not happy with how they were treated at the party and the whole debacle. And yeah, it is like a gut instinct for parents to say, well, you shouldn't have put yourself in that situation. You shouldn't have done that. You shouldn't have lied to me. You shouldn't have whatever. But that comes off as victim blaming. That comes off as judgment, and kids will shut down.
And we all seem to forget all of that, the bad things we did as kids.
Yeah, because we had it was an easier time to get away with it. Nobody had phones. You couldn't track your kid's location. It was easier to be sneaky in the 80s and 90s. It
But
just was.
we all were.
Oh yeah,
We all were.
100%. To varying degrees, yes.
I mean, I have this conversation with parents all the time about how, my kids don't drink and I want them to drink. I'm like, okay, I understand that.
Yeah.
But what if they do? Like, do you have a plan for them that says
Yeah.
there's $100 bill in your wallet, or call Uber or call me and you'll never get in trouble for it? We'll have to. I mean, I don't want you to do it, but they're going to do it.
Yeah, they're gonna do whatever they want. One thing that I used with my kids and still use with my two high schoolers is a code word. And if they drop the code word in a text or a phone call, I will bail them out of any situation and be
That's
like the
great.
bad, mean mom, and they won't get in trouble for what was happening. Because
I think
I've been to parties
that's
where
great.
I didn't realize what was going on until it was too late.
Yeah.
And it seemed all innocent. And then you get there and everybody's drinking or doing other things. And it's like, oh crap, got to get out of here. But a lot of kids are too afraid to tell their parent there's alcohol here or people are hooking up in the back room or whatever. But if they know that they have a free pass, like you're not going to get in trouble, and I'll yell loud enough on the phone that your friends think I'm awful. So, and then you'll get in the car and we'll be like, okay, thanks for calling. And that will be that.
Well, it's obvious why you're great at what you do.
Okay,
Uh,
what other ways can we connect?
so I think you have to. Activities are great. Kids will talk to you while they're doing an activity. So, going for a
Okay.
walk, throwing the ball around, cooking, something that gets them kind of relaxed. I mean, every kid. I wish I could say if you just go do this, it's going to be all fine. But
Yeah.
I can't. I can tell you that you have to find the time that your kid's open to it. My oldest, Derek, and his mom, like she's like, he will only talk to me maybe once a month. But when he does, I've got to be willing to talk. I got to drop everything.
I'm gonna seize the moment.
Got to seize the moment because That might be the only hour I get for the next month. And it's not like he doesn't love his mother. It's that he's busy. He's got a wife. He's got kids. He's got work,
Yeah.
and it just doesn't work that way. Now, for him and I, we talk every day because we talk about work. But that's she just realizes that when it happens, you've got to dive in. And the line I like to tell people is parenting is inconvenient. I mean, it really is. But you need to be present when they're willing to talk to you. It's never going to be when you want them to.
Yeah, oftentimes it's late at night when you're dead in bed and they come in and sit on the edge of the bed.
And you're like, oh, geez, what are you here for?
Yeah,
And I get it too, right? Because it's so hard for people right now. There's so much going on. Excuse me. There's so much going on in the world. I don't think we've ever been at a point where the stress level is quite as high as it is. Maybe the beginning of COVID or the middle of COVID. I don't. It could have been, but it's
it's really
it's
tumultuous right now.
it's really really hard, and we all don't do a good job of taking care of ourselves. And you have to put your own oxygen mask on first. And so I'm going to encourage you before you can even have a real conversation with your kids, you got to think about yourself. How much time are you spending on screens? Do you have an exercise program that at least getting out there walking for a half hour a day or something? How are you managing what you eat and what are you doing to take care of yourself? Because it's hard to take care of anybody else if you're not taking care of yourself first.
We burn out.
And the pressure out there is immense.
Hopefully, parents who are taking advantage of Tell My Story and all of the help that you have, and this podcast and other resources, hopefully, they're learning tools to be able to create a calm, safe, peaceful space in their own headspace, in their own home, so that they can better weather and teach their kids to weather the circumstances which we can't control.
Yeah. Well, I'll give you one more tool.
Yes,
We had
please.
other stuff we wanted to talk about today too, but we did a movie called What I Wish My Parents Knew, which goes into schools. And we'd love to have you host one for us at your school. It's for
Yeah.
parents where I interviewed a bunch of kids talking about their mental health. It really does drive it home when you hear these kids talking about at such a young age how they were feeling. That's a movie we put out 2 years ago, and it's still going into schools now. The movie we just came out with a month and a half ago is called Shift. And in Shift, I interviewed, I guess it was 11 or 12 kids, and they all have this in common. They have something they've leaned into. They all had mental health issues
Mm-hmm.
to some degree, but they leaned into their sport, they leaned into their art, they leaned into all these different things. And they tell their story about how, because they had a purpose outside of just going to school and their families or their friends, but something they really, really were passionate about, they were able to help themselves rise up. And
That's amazing.
that's another movie that goes into schools now, and it goes in with workbooks, and we're putting it into classrooms and assemblies, and for parents, and for churches, all that kind of stuff. And if you want to know more about that, just go to the website and click on the link to email us. And Dana, who runs that whole piece, will be happy to get back to you and help set up the screening. And here's the thing: there's no cost. I put those screenings into schools, and I cover it all.
Wow. That's amazing. So all of this is on tellmystory.org.
It is.
All of your movie links, how to get you and your producers into a
Yep.
school, it's
Everything's
all
there.
on there.
One website, all of it.
Hi there. I just want to pause and let you know if you are struggling to make sense of your teen's behaviors, emotions are running wild, and you're looking to turn things around to have the family you dreamed of while rocking them to sleep, I would love to talk to you. I want to give you a special, powerful gift. 30 minutes with me, my friend. You'll walk away with more confidence, clarity, and understanding of what the issue is and your next best step in resolving any situation you bring to me. It's completely free. I love families and want to help yours be wildly happy and successful. Book this call by visiting my website, heatherfraser.com. Remember, Fraser is spelled with a Z-I in the middle. And don't worry, the link is also in the show notes. I look forward to meeting and helping you. Okay, let's dive into the second portion.
Mm-hmm.
which is harm has occurred to whatever degree.
Yeah.
How do we talk to people who were affected in any way around that?
Well, I guess there's two different ways here. There was an attempt that people knew about, or there was a suicide.
Okay.
So the first thing schools are inherently really bad at this. Not every school, but a lot of schools are really bad at this. Something happens and they don't talk about it. When Ryan passed, his school didn't talk about it. I was infuriated.
That's awful.
Yeah. Whereas other schools do it the right way. They bring in trauma teams to talk to kids and they stay there for a week and anybody can go in and talk.
Yep.
The worst thing you can do in a situation like this that happens at a school or a business is not talk about it. Number one worst thing. The idea that talking about suicide creates more suicide is a fallacy.
Yes.
So what I I want to use the word opportunity, but what you want to do is the more you talk about it, it brings more kids to the light that say, I need to talk. I'm feeling the same way that other person was feeling. And they need to get into therapy. They need to get the help they need. So what can you do as a kid who's in school and this happened to one of your classmates and you're like, what do I do? How do I talk about it? Well, you just be supportive and smile and let them know, hey, I hear you had a tough time. If you don't want to talk, I'm here. Just be that person. Like what people need who are depressed and are on the edge like that is knowing there's people who will listen to them and not judge them. They feel alone. And even though they're not alone, most of them are not alone. Robin Williams was not alone. Anthony Bourdain was not alone, but they felt alone. Ryan was not alone. He felt alone. So letting them know that they're not this pariah who came back to school, that they're loved is what they need. Now, in the events where someone did die, what do you do to what can you do to support the family? What can you do to I think that's your question too, right?
Yeah.
Just let them know you're there. Ask about. People are afraid to ask.
Yeah. Is there anything specific that you wish you would have heard or heard more of?
I think everybody's different.
Of course.
So I don't think I necessarily needed that.
Okay.
What my wife wanted is people to ask about Ryan, favorite memories, just talk about them. I think because of what I ended up doing here, I talk about him all the time. So
Mhm.
I don't feel like I need someone to come and say, hey, tell me about Ryan. I'm like, I talk about Ryan all the time. But people are afraid to talk to people who have family members who died of suicide. Don't be. Just be supportive. Let them know you're there. They may not want anything, but you'll make them feel better just knowing that you're there. Send them a
Yeah.
text. They may not respond right away. Drop a phone call. They may not respond right away, but they'll know you're there.
Yeah. I think we can also call out the elephant in the room, so to speak, in that, hey, I don't know what you need or how I can support you.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to be distracted, we can talk about superficial things. If you want to share how you're feeling, we can do that too. Like, I don't know, embracing the
I know you're
awkwardness
absolutely
of
right.
it.
You're right. But it's uncomfortable for all of us, right?
Yeah.
It's super uncomfortable. I mean, when it happened to me, I talked to a dad pretty early on, a couple months in, who said, you're going to find a lot of your friends who have been friends for a while are no longer going to be your friends, and you're going to have new friends. And it's not because your old friends, there's anything wrong with them, it's because a lot of your old friends won't know how to deal with you.
Yeah, they can't relate.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
luckily, not my situation, but primarily because I was forgiving of my old friends. because I knew they didn't know what to say.
Yeah,
But if we bring this back, if you don't mind, Heather, to
of course.
where we're at with today, it's I think it's just really important for us all to know that we have to support each other. There are not enough therapists and doctors and psychologists and clinics, and I hear these stories all the time where someone brought their kid into the hospital at 7 o'clock at night. It wasn't until 4 o'clock in the morning they were seen by anybody. And it's not because they're saying leave them in the lobby, it's fine. It's because they don't have enough psychiatrists to talk to people. There's
Yeah.
not enough beds. There's not enough any of this. Like we really do need to be there for each other. We have to give each other a little bit of grace. You have to look at someone and go, are you okay? Because you don't seem like you're okay. Even though you go, I've got a lot of crap in my own life. I don't want to know about your life.
Yeah. Well, and it takes a lot of courage to do that, to ask your child, are you okay? To ask your friend, spouse, sibling, I'm seeing this. Like, how concerned should we be?
And it's unfair that we have to, right? Because life should be a lot nicer than it is to us all, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
But I also encourage everybody, you know, to look at their life and really understand there's a lot of really good things in everybody's life. If you're living in Gaza, maybe not, but we're not living in Gaza.
Yeah. Most of us have it pretty good.
Most of us have it pretty good when you compare it to the rest of the world. And if you got a roof over your head and you can eat, that's better than a big portion of the world right now.
Yeah.
And I get the fact that maybe you don't have the job you want. I get the fact you're not making the money you might want to make. I get the fact that maybe you're not the relationship you want. And we all want. But take a few minutes to appreciate what you do have. And it's amazing. When I lost Ryan, my therapist said to me, I want you to just every day write down 3 or 4 things that you're happy about that make you happy. I'm like, there is nothing that makes me happy. And just like you could be, I appreciate the ice cream I had today, or I appreciate the fact that it was sunny today. I'm like, this is stupid. And but I start doing it. And this gratitude practice, like a month in, I'm like 45 things a day. Can I stop now? And she's like, yeah, you're probably okay. Because when you actually start looking for the good things in life, and even for your kids, like it's a great experience. Like one of my favorite questions you can ask anybody is once you have having a conversation, I have a question for you. Do you like yourself? And let them answer. Then do you love yourself?
Yeah.
That
Wow.
answer really matters.
Mm-hmm.
Really, and someone who is depressed, who has anxiety issues, they will answer honestly. That's the interesting thing about people who are in serious states of depression. They will answer you honestly because deep down they know that's not where they want to be, and they're looking for a lifeline.
Yeah.
And you can be that lifeline. You can be that lifeline for people. You don't have to be a trained therapist. You just have to listen and ask questions and understand. And we should probably bring this up. If you're having a conversation with one of your kids or somebody else, and they're telling you things that you're going, wow, the bells are going off the back of your head,
Yep.
you have to ask the question. It sounds like you're in rough shape. Have you thought about hurting yourself? And I know that's a scary question to ask, but you have to ask the
Terrifying.
question. And if the answer is yes, you have to answer the next question. Well, do you have a plan on how you're going to do that? Because here's the deal: many people have thought about maybe dying.
Yep.
It just happens. It's a thought that goes through people's heads. It's a difference when they actually have a plan. Yes, well, I know where you keep mom's pills or dad's pills or whatever it is, and I know where the gun is. Then you actually have to get them into a hospital, into a therapist, and right away. And call. And the ideal thing, you call 988 right away, the suicide hotline, and you get them talking on the phone, and we get them to a doctor. You have to do that.
Yes. If they have a plan, that is your indicator to seek help.
Yeah. And if they don't have a plan, you just have to keep paying really close attention to make sure they don't have a plan. And
Yeah. And you can seek help in a different way, right? If they have a plan, drive them to an emergency room
yeah,
or call 911 or whatever you can do, or 988.
988. Yeah.
And then if they're like, well, no, but I still think about harming myself, maybe the plan of action is a psychologist, psychiatrist, therapy appointment. Start with a school counselor if those things are not within your reach.
And your kid, your child, your spouse, your friend may need to have some kind of medication.
Yeah.
I know we're not all fans of medication. All I can tell you is I wish I could have ran a medication.
Yeah.
Didn't have the opportunity. So,
Yeah. Medication is a beautiful gift, one that can be abused, but it is a beautiful gift
yeah.
when used properly.
And I'm a fan of saying let's do everything we can before medication,
Sure.
but
It certainly has its place
it does.
and it's a
So,
valuable asset.
I don't know, Heather, did we cover what you wanted to cover today?
Yeah, I think that this is amazing. Is there anything else that our listeners need to know?
Oh, there's so many things we all need to know.
Fair enough. That was a loaded question.
I would, again, encourage everybody to sit down by yourself and ask yourself that question. Do you love yourself? And if the answer is no, then what can you do to make sure you do love yourself? And then how do you take that message to others?
Yeah. Our kids definitely can pick up on those subtle ways of our self view.
Oh, because we're not that subtle.
Yeah.
We're not that subtle. Kids can tell when you're upset. Kids can tell when you're angry. Kids, we know we can't. You're not that good of actors. If you think you're arguing with your spouse and your kids don't know, they know. You're not hiding it that well. No one does.
All right. All the listeners out there driving their cars or folding laundry, running errands, every link that we've talked about, Jason and I, is in the show notes, his website, so that you can find all of his resources. Thank you for providing such amazing resources for families.
Well,
And
thank you for doing what you do.
yeah, thanks for being on.
You said I'm episode 279.
Something like that.
That's a lot of time spent helping parents and helping kids. And thank you for what you do.
Families are amazing.
Yeah.